Let me call this meeting to order. Let me have a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Jorge Dominguez. Mike Baron. Erasmo Villarreal.
Present.
Johnny Narvaez.
Present.
Yushien Wang. Larry Dovalina.
Here.
Daniela Salapaz. Ana Villarreal.
Here.
For the record, you do not have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, well, I know there's a commissioner, you move to excuse.
Oh, we can't, because we're not in the meeting.
Yeah, we can't take action, so there's nothing we can do about this.
We'll wait
Yeah.
till she comes.
We can do the next item, Pledge of Allegiance, so everybody can stand up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Mr. Chairman, we posted on our agenda a presentation by TxDOT that does not require action. It's
Right.
just a presentation. In speaking to our legal, they say that it's okay if you would like to just move that up, and then we could just have the presentation right now while we're waiting for
Yes.
one of our commissioners.
I would move item 11A up, and I would invite TxDOT to please come up to the podium and make their presentation.
Thank you. Good evening. For the record, Humberto Gonzalez Jr., Deputy District Engineer for the TxDOT Laredo District. Let me pull the presentation up on here. All right, good evening. Thank you all for the invitation. I did receive your invitation, and listening to you all's last meeting, I appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk about the upcoming projects that TxDOT has planned. I do have some slides put together. They're going to go through what we have planned for the next 10 years, but I'll try to keep it specific to mainly to Laredo for this meeting. And then if you have any follow-up questions, either during the presentation or after, I'd be more than happy to answer those. So I just wanted to start off really quick, just to give everyone that may not know, the Laredo District does comprise of 8 counties, right? So we don't only oversee Laredo. I know we're called the TxDOT Laredo District, but we also have to oversee Del Rio, Eagle Pass, Laredo, which are major areas. That includes overseeing the 8 international border crossings that reside in those areas as well. That's just some brief information. The population of over 430,000, majority of that obviously is here in Laredo. We do have to look at over 5,000 lane miles, in addition to over 1,000 bridges on and off system that we maintain. So what I want to start off here is just to kind of set the base for, so you guys start seeing the projects that are funded. Laredo is in a unique position throughout the state, being that we're a major freight, network corridor here, a border city. We have 4 major corridors and 1 major destination. So everyone is familiar with I-35. Everyone is familiar with I-69. Already, at least a portion that's built from the international, the World Trade Bridge to I-35. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the destination that recently got called out by the governor, I-27. So that'll take US 83, which is in Laredo, as well as US 277 that heads up between Eagle Pass and Del Rio. That'll take it to Interstate I-27. And then I-2, that is Interstate 2, that'll connect us down with our partners down in the south, in the valley. So that'll also connect portions of our US 83, our southern loop that we have called Cuatro Vientos. That eventually in the future will one day become designated as Interstate 2.
Let me ask you, you're talking about Interstate, the 83 will become Interstate 2 on the loop all the way down south to the valley.
Correct, right.
Thank you.
And again, the logistics of those as far as where we spur out and interchanges, those obviously we're in the planning stages of that. But yes, that is the idea. Yes. So right now in Laredo, in the Laredo District, as I mentioned, over 8 counties, we have $593 million of projects under construction. That's active construction, boots on the ground. $378 million of that is in Laredo and Webb County alone. So you can see the percentage, right? The vast amount goes to Laredo. But again, if you look at the population basis, the majority of the population and the traffic is here in Laredo. 2 other projects here that are currently under construction. Major projects is I-69 corridor. We're adding a lane in each direction to I-69, east and west. That'll help in conjunction with our partnership with the city, where they're doing the toll booth project at the International Bridge. They receive CBI funds that the state is overseeing. So that project will help ease, traffic in and out of the World Trade Bridge faster on I-69. That project is $14 million and is set to be completed at the end of this month. Another major project, which I'm sure all of you have seen, North Laredo, a $150 million project. We are building a brand new overpass over the Union Pacific Railroad just north of Shiloh. And we're also building 2 direct connectors that'll help get you from east I-69 to south I-35 and west I-69 to south I-35. And we're also adding a lane to I-35 as well. So in that area previously, you had 2 lanes in each direction, north and south. You're gonna have 3 lanes now in each direction, north and south. And that is part of an initiative that we have throughout the state. It's called the Texas Safe Lanes Initiative, to take I-35 to 6 lanes throughout the whole entire state of Texas. So we're doing our part for our district.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, Ms. Alpaz just showed up, so we do have a quorum.
now. Yes, thank you.
So continuing, so again, that is what's under construction. Now, what do we have in the future, which is, I think, was really the reason why you asked us to come up here. Yesterday, we just got signed into effect the 2023 Unified Transportation Plan. So for those of you that are not aware of the way TxDOT operates, we operate in a 10-year planning window. So that 10-year Unified Transportation Plan allocates all the funds that we have designated throughout the state. They're designated to all our projects. Basically, what that Unified Transportation Plan highlights is our major mobility funds that are on there. And I'm gonna talk about some of the projects here in Laredo that have already received those funds. So again, if you look at it, in Laredo alone, $1.7 billion for the next 10 years in the Laredo district. Now, that is an all-time high for the Laredo district. That's the highest number we've ever had for the 10 years. And $660 million of that is gonna be in Laredo and Webb County in the next 4 years alone. So what I'm gonna show you again, this is just a disclaimer. Obviously, we're gonna show you lead dates, we're gonna show you construction estimates. All these are always subject to revision. Obviously, we understand the dynamic environment with the economy, right? So these are our projections and what we're planning towards, but again, they are always subject to revision. So the major project that we have, I know that feels like we've been talking about this project forever, is the US 59 Future I-69 corridor. So this project is taking Loop 20, right, which everybody knows, it's US 59 as well, gonna take it to interstate standards. What does that mean? That means you're gonna have main lanes in the middle, right, 3 lanes in each direction. You're gonna have 3 lanes of frontage road in each direction. So in total, you're gonna have 12 lanes at a minimum along that whole entire corridor, right? Look at Loop 410 in San Antonio, and that's what US 59 Loop 20 is gonna look like. We do have the project funded. So for August 2023, which is just around the corner, we're gonna be letting the overpasses at Shiloh, Del Mar, University, and we are in the process of accelerating Jackman as well. So we'll be letting those 4 interchanges, as well as all the frontage roads and everything that accompanies those. We're in the final process right now of acquiring the right-of-way. So that project is on schedule to let in August. And then as you see, the last project that will bring up the tail end is the last part at airport there that'll complete the last interchange there.
It's a year from now?
Yes, sir. So in addition to that, we just put that number up there because in addition to the almost $300 million in construction, we're also spending almost another $200 million in right-of-way costs as well along that area. So. The other major projects that are funded, again, these projects are funded and programmed, is we have a bridge replacement and widening to 6 lanes at the Unital Interchange. That's a mile marker 18 at Unitech, right? Everyone understands the congestion that goes on there. So that project is not only gonna replace that existing overpass, we're gonna widen Unital underneath, right? That goes east and west. We're gonna widen that to 8 lanes. And we're gonna build a brand new interchange a mile and a half north of there, where you're gonna see where the future Char-Ruttinger relief route, and that is a relief route, and I'm using that word specifically, it's a relief route that's gonna have controlled access, and I'll show you that. That's gonna be an interchange that's gonna connect that area, and hopefully provide relief for that area as well, as it continues to expand and grow out. We have the direct connectors 3 and 6, so if you look at that, I use the word spaghetti bowl because somebody said the other day, and it just sounds cool, right? That spaghetti bowl of I-35 and Loop 20, you see all those direct connectors we have there. We currently have 3 built. We're in the process of building 2 more that I just mentioned earlier. That'll give us 5. There's 8 in total. These are the 2 that are funded, and then there's 1 that is currently not funded. So that's those 2 that'll take you north and south, I-35 to East 59. That's 35 million. And then the last one that's currently funded here on 35 is the bridge replacement and widening to 6 lanes at the Union Pacific Railroad and mile marker 18. So that is where the old Tourist Bureau Center is. Right now you have to go through that little S-curve, right, and go down around that overpass. We're gonna relocate that overpass to the northwest, and we're gonna go over the railroad instead of under. That current under where you pass, that'll get filled up and that'll no longer exist. We'll remove and obliterate that. And we're also working on connectivity to US 83 as well. So that'll include a direct connector that'll take you from, if you're traveling north on 35 and you wanna go north on 83, you'll no longer have to get off and intersect and go underneath. You'll have a direct connector that'll take you directly to it. That is, the interim, there's an interim and ultimate. That is the interim phase, 75 million, and it's set to end in September.
Let me ask you a question before you go further.
Yes.
I know you mentioned the construction of the interchange at the what is it, the Charles Ruthinger. The interchange, obviously, from Unitech is about a mile and a half north, right? More or less?
So if you look at that, Unitech to a Char Ruthinger and north, you can help me out, what's the distance between there? Because you have the unnamed intersection, and then you have another from a Char, so you're looking at, it's more than that, it's about 3 miles, what is it?
You mean from Uniroyal to the Char?
To a Char, yeah,
That's about 2 miles.
okay, about a little more than 2 miles, yeah.
Okay, so if we're coming out, there's already, congestion big time over here at the Uniroyal. That's going back out to 35. So how are you gonna add a lane or something, or lanes to get that traffic, to get to that interchange, or what is the plan?
Yeah, so if you look at that, what we're doing, obviously, we actually just had a meeting with one of our consultants. So we have a schematic where we're analyzing the entire I-35 corridor, right, all the way up to mile marker 30, and we're looking at those kind of, issues, capacity issues. How are we gonna service, right, trying to service all this, not only development that's there, but upcoming development that's gonna be in the future.
Right.
So just to kind of answer your question, I'll take a quick step back, but if you look at that interchange eventually is gonna look like what I-35 and I-69 looks like. So that interchange we're building, we're not building a simple interchange like you see at Uniroyal Carrier. We're building a full-blown
Right.
interchange that's gonna connect basically 2 interstates, is what we're looking at there. So getting the traffic there, that is challenging. I will tell you in some areas because of the close proximity of carriers and Uniroyal, right? We were actually just looking at that earlier today. So I will take this opportunity to mention that, we have discussed it at the MPO Policy Committee about trying to find routes, other relief routes,
Right.
how we can access 35, because if we continue to develop and the only way is through Uniroyal or carriers, it is gonna be really difficult to get all that traffic through there. We're looking at that, we were partnering with the city, I think we've trying to do at least a better job of looking at what the city's master thoroughfare plan looks like, what our thoroughfare plan looks like, to make sure that they align with what we're doing. Our goal of this meeting is to show you, this is where the money's at for the next 10 years. If we can align that with everyone else's goals, and follow where the money is, I think we can start solving, some of the problems we have. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So, going back to this, I-35, like I just mentioned, and you mentioned, the Char Ruthinger Parkway, this is a project that, again, is being funded through the MPO with Category 7 dollars. TxDOT has taken this over and is finishing the design and environmental clearance in-house. This is a $51 million project that is funded, and it's gonna be a true relief route between Mines Road and 35. And I wanna clarify what that means. A relief route is a route that has controlled access, right? I'll come up here and I'll tell you, I know that I don't think the guys in the back are gonna like me very much when I say this, right? I know everybody wants to have access to the highway, but the highways are meant to move, people and goods back and forth. So we need to be strategic in where we allow those connection points. We've tried to do a better job, in the city planning and to all developers, that are here and to you all. We've really done try to do a good job of saying, you know what, we will share KMZ files with you, we'll share our master plans, our schematics. If you will do the same, then we can help plan, right, what we're doing. And this is our intent, right? We want to be transparent, as transparent as possible with the public so you can see what we're doing. So this project, I mentioned that because it's a relief route that will have controlled access. So it'll have crossovers that'll carry the primary access points along there, and then there'll be strategic locations throughout there that'll have access as well. But again, it's meant as a relief route to move traffic back and forth. In comparison to, just a regular 5-lane undivided roadway that has access points all over the place, a left turning in the middle, there's a lot of conflicts, and you really aren't gonna get traffic moving. It's more traffic generated, so just wanted to point.
When do you propose to let that?
So that project is already funded, fully funded, and it's gonna be letting in August of 2023. So I guess by our numbers, it was fully funded as of today. This is September 1st is the beginning of our FY calendar year. So we're waiting for that, basically clock to strike to get the funds from this year. So we're on top to let it in August already, so.
Let me ask you, because I know that, okay, you're talking about, this is gonna be a relief route to obviously take the trucks and the different industrial parks in that area, and as the growth goes. And they're going from, I guess, the Mines Road area up to 35 and back, right? But they still gotta get back to the bridge, right? So we still have a choke point.
Correct.
So how do we take care of that choke point?
So that is something, that's a good question, right? Something we've always looked at. And I will tell you that it's not an easy solution. It's something that the choke point, and I'll speak here on behalf of Texas, and this is based off numbers and what we've seen. Everybody knows that the choke point is Killam. If you look at the numbers, if you look at where the traffic backs up, everything backs up with Killam. So what are we doing? We currently have a project under construction that's adding a right turn lane from Big Bend, which is just south of I-69, right, on Mines Road, all the way to Killam. That lane is gonna be a continuous right turn lane that's gonna allow access not only to Milo Road, if you're heading north, but also to Killam. So that's gonna provide free access in there. We're also adding a right turn lane on Killam. So Killam, if you're coming out, going to the west, you're gonna have now a free right turn to go out. Once that project is completed, you're gonna see traffic moving through there a little bit smoother, but there's gonna be other projects that we're gonna have to continue and follow up with to improve the operations, I guess, at that area. Because right now, Killam is that choke point that's occurring.
Have you guys considered or looked at just having an expressway over the Mines Road to connect to the World Trade Bridge to maybe alleviate that problem, where you can just have truck traffic going and coming on a upper surface or whatever?
So we have looked at that. I will say that if you look at the North Laredo traffic study, actually, that the RMA did and HETB did, that was one of their suggestions that they had on there. I will tell you there's challenges. When you start considering a freeway, one of the things is lack of access, right? You would have to decide where and when to begin that freeway, and anyone after that, I mean, you wouldn't really have access to get onto that freeway because, as you all know, I mean, you're gonna have to be pretty up high in the air to get up and get over, I-69, come down to tie in before you get to the bridge. But I will follow up with the solution that we are looking at, or the alternatives we're looking at, is how can we get other access points to the bridge, right? Because right now, the only access point to get to the bridge is Mines Road, to I-69, right? So how do we look for other ones? So again, we've been talking to Mr. Navarro here, and Mr. Rodriguez here behind me is our planning director. We're looking at other options. We are going to reach out to the people in the area, right, and find out what are the solutions or what are other alternatives that we have to create those other access points, because there has to be other access points. I started off the meeting with that, right? We continue to develop, but Mines Road is the only way to get to the bridge. I'm gonna throw out something here, and it's an idea that not a lot of people are talking about, but I'm gonna mention it because it was mentioned and again, that North Laredo traffic study that I mentioned, that HNTB did with the RMA, and it's been looked at by one of our consultants that I mentioned earlier when we looked at IH-35, is if Killam is the choke point, right, and there's only one way in and out of Killam, we have a bridge on I-35 at Tres X that was built.
Yes.
Killam currently does not align with it. If Killam were to align with that bridge, everybody could come down I-69 that's exiting the bridge, could come down the direct connector. We could potentially, and I'm gonna use the word potentially, right? We have it in the plans, it's not funded yet, build an off-ramp from that direct connector coming down, connect to an interchange, and get you in to Killam. So now you have two entrance and exits to Killam, which right now you only have one.
But
Yeah.
you still got the issue of the bridge. I mean, most of your transportation is going back and forth across that bridge.
Correct.
So really, you still got the same issue. I mean, you can try to queue traffic all around, but we're still going back to the same, we only have one bridge. And right now, like you said, that seems to be the area where your choke point is Killam, and that's because that's one of the biggest industrial parks, and you have other ones, and there's more and more. So in your planning or in your discussions, I don't know what kind of a growth projection you guys are looking at in terms of the growth of the bridge, World Trade Bridge, that's gonna obviously add more and more traffic. And that being said, then really, you mentioned that you need to look for relief of a choke point. And it appears to me that the only relief is kind of like what you said that you wanted to do with the Char-Boothinger Road, make it a controlled road with, and that would, to me, make a lot of sense for the transportation industry, that just have a controlled, World Trade Bridge. Maybe you drop somewhere and kill them, but there is no stoplights. It's a continuous movement just for trucks.
So we are doing, and Mr. Rodriguez has something planned, so we are gonna be looking again, and this is compound. I mean, I think everyone knows that we've been looking at 1472 for a very long time. The improvements that we're currently making are gonna be improvements that are gonna help, but we all know that, again, the long-term solution, we need to have something bigger than that, right? So we are bringing a consultant on board to look at the long-term solutions. You mentioned the freeway, right? Currently, if you look at the footprint of what we have on Mines Road, between I-69 all the way to Pan American.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, it's very limited in
Right.
a lot of areas
Right.
in order to do the work. If you would look at the cost that will be required to add a freeway to there, you'd be talking about probably buying out a lot of those businesses in a lot of those areas. So again, there's challenge with that. That doesn't mean that we can't look at those. But we are going to start exploring the option that maybe at one point, along 1472, we can start kind of a freeway point at one point. It's just right now in that current area where all the issues are, is because it's really overdeveloped. And again, there's only one access point and everyone's trying to get to it at the same time. So.
El Riverbank, es que llegué poquito tarde. No, el Riverbank Road, no han hablado de ese.
So, you brought up a good point. So Riverbank is there. Obviously, that is not a Texas roadway. So obviously, I cannot speak to the improvements that go on there. But I know at the city and at the MPO level, we have discussed, what that route looks like. There are some ideas already, Mr. Mato here, that we need to discuss in here pretty soon about maybe other access points along Riverbank that maybe can connect potentially to get access to the bridge. But again, we need to look at alternate routes, right? So.
Por lo de las salidas, o sea, si van a dedicar el Ruthenberg, Ruthinger, a la carga, ¿verdad? Pues necesitas también para las casas que viven ahí, necesitas una salida para ellos, porque si tú vas a las minas en la hora pico, entre 12 a 3 de la tarde, haces una hora nada más en el entronque de la 30, de la salida del puente hasta después de la bota.
Hasta aquí, ¿no?
Ahí, despuesito de la bota ya sales a ITC y todo y está perfectamente fluido. Pero en ese tramo también nadie va a su casa a comer ni nada de eso. Entonces, a lo mejor uno dedicarlo a esto y otro dedicarlo al otro.
The development in the area is moving so fast that the road is gonna come to a standstill. I have a ranch in that area. If it's after 10 o'clock, I take 35 to Camino Colombia to get to my ranch. Because you
yeah.
can't travel through
And
there.
you bring up a good point. What I'm trying to show up here is, right, is obviously there's a lot of money invested. Obviously, it's never enough, right? Because like you said, the development is worth more than the money. The hope is that we find those alternate routes. And I think you all, I think the city has a great opportunity, and Texas will help be partners with that, of trying to find, we're all for new development, but there needs to be other routes other than just saying, you know what, I'm gonna connect to a Texas roadway and we're gonna call it good. I think I heard someone, Mr. Varela, you said at the last meeting that I heard, you talked about circulation, right? Yeah, that's fine. How are we gonna get around? How are we gonna circulate traffic?
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
We need to think about it. It's not just how we're gonna get in and out, how are we gonna circulate
How
traffic?
are you gonna move it? Yeah.
So, who does that fall on?
Both of you.
Yes, yeah, all of us, right? All of
Also
us.
everybody.
Yeah, all of us.
Also
All the
everybody.
entities, yeah, yeah.
Well, just to let you know about River Road, the RMA is funding the study that the MPO is putting together so that we can put together the alignment and how much it's gonna cost. So that's already been done and they're moving on that. We recently, today, we had a meeting with landowners to start talking about the commitment to giving us the right of way so that we can get River Road, sooner than later. So that is in the works.
Okay.
So I got a couple more slides here. I know,
Go ahead.
we've taken, but yeah,
No, go ahead.
just to wrap it up, SH 359 also is a project that is funded. Again, this is part of that $1.7 billion that I mentioned is funded. It's an $18 million project. So that is going to expand it to a 5-lane and a divided highway. And that project is 4 miles east of the loop to 10 miles east of the loop. So it's a 6-mile project. If you can see up on the screen, you see that green corridor that's all the way up to 255 in the north, and it comes down to where it says Future Bridge 45, should put their potential right. That is a corridor that's going to help connect that in the future. So to those ends, we are also looking at the capacity and the growth of the World Trade Bridge, and also coordinating for the growth potentially of an additional bridge.
So would that be considered your outer loop?
That green one would be considered the outer loop, yes. And for those of you that haven't seen it, anyone can go on to Google. If you type in TxDOT outer loop, it's gonna take you, that's the first thing that pops up, is gonna take you to our TxDOT page, and it's gonna show you the feasibility study that we finished in April of 2020, and it'll show you everything that we went through, our preferred alignments.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's a 44-mile corridor. It's about $400 million. We're gonna try to, like we say, bite it off in pieces, the elephant, one bite at a time, and start prioritizing. Right now, the area we're looking at prioritizing is the section between 59 and 359 to provide relief right between those two areas. So, and then real quick, just obviously this is good news. Again, as I mentioned yesterday, they signed into effect the UTP. Well, with that UTP, we got 3 additional projects that are funded and listed on there. This is US 59. It's a 20-mile section. We just got $302 million in Category 4, and that is going to continue US 59 heading out towards Freer, eventually heading towards Houston. It's part of the ports to port corridor. And if any of you listen to the Transportation Commission and they talk about mobility throughout the state, this is key because there are key rural connectors throughout the state. And the reason they're funding these is we can take traffic off of 35, right, all throughout the state, because everybody knows close to 35, it's very congested. So we again, statewide, we're looking for alternate routes also to develop alternate routes, to give people more options, right, on how to get to their destination. Payasir Road, I think everyone's very familiar with that one. That one did get funded. Actually, if you were listening to the last MPO, I guess we're going through the process. This next MPO, it'll be voted on and finalized. But that project is being listed already on the UTP. It was funded for $35.3 million. That is a mixture of local funding, Category 12, and then local dollars, and Cat 7, I'm sorry. So that project, again, we don't have a letting date on there yet. That is being managed by the RMA. So we can come back to you later with more information on that, as far as when that project will be ready to go to construction.
De 17 a 35.
And then the last project I just wanted to talk about, and this is probably where everything started at the last meeting, was Lomas del Sur, right? Everyone was talking about that. So I kind of ended with this one on purpose, right? So everyone could be listening, paying attention, waiting for this. The Lomas del Sur project actually did get funded. We have $23 million of Category 2 that was assigned to it. The estimate we have right now is currently at $30 million, so we have about a $7 million shortfall. We are going to be looking this year for alternatives to fund that gap, but we're not going to wait to get that project going. We already have a consultant on board. We had the kickoff meeting last week. They're starting the plan development for that project. And as soon as we can have it ready and the final bit of funding can get secured, we can let that. If you ask me, we're going to try to let it as soon as possible. Our goal is to try to let it by FY25, latest FY26 in that area. The other 2 overpasses, Sierra Vista and Cielito Lindo, were not funded yet, but we're also going to be preparing the PS&E. So the plans will be ready on the shelf, ready to go.
Good.
And that ends my presentation. I know it was a lot of information, but y'all have any other
So
questions?
you're gonna elevate the intersections at Cuatro Vientos by bridge.
That is correct. If you look at those intersections, I know again, I know you discussed it at one point, it was open. Unfortunately, based on the accidents that continue to occur, we closed the road, but we did add turnarounds, we added acceleration lanes, deceleration lanes, right, to give people options. We added safe lanes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yet, I mean, we see out there accidents still, unfortunately, continue to happen. The saving grace, I guess, for this project is once you have an overpass, well, all that high-speed traffic will eventually stay over the overpass, and then you have the slower traffic on the side. I know that Lomas del Sur is a priority because of the sports complex, which is why we really pushed for it to get funded, and it did. So we'll be moving forward with that project and hopefully letting it here soon.
Excellent. I have one last question. The 10-year plan, the funds that you have for the 10-year plan, how much of that funding is for increasing lanes on I-35 going north?
So again, I think the slide that I showed back there, I think it was, I guess I could go back, but those were the current ones that are funded, so I guess I kind of,
So that would just put us at the Charles Ruthinger,
yeah,
6 lanes.
I'm gonna show. So if you look at the I-35 corridor, right now we have $220 million funded, so that's on I-35.
Okay.
So we have, of that 1.7 billion, 220 million is on 35.
And that would go all the way up to where?
So right now, that's gonna go all the way past about a mile and a half, past mile marker 20, mile marker 20.
Okay, but that's funding over the next 10 years.
Yeah, but if you look at that project's already scheduled to let in 2026, September
I
2026.
get it, but your 10-year plan only puts us at mile marker 20.
Yeah,
And that still has a very long way to go, and you guys know that 35 is, you know, it's got
It needs, yeah.
a lot of truck traffic right
Right,
now, a
so
lot of
we-
truck traffic.
so I didn't show it on here because I
Yesterday.
didn't want the presentation to get even longer, but we currently have a schematic and a consultant on board that's taking it to 6 lanes all the way to mile marker 30, to mile marker 30. So we have the schematic, they're working on the PSNE already, so plans on the shelf. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have funding for it, but again, I want everyone to know, and I'm glad you brought it up, is we're trying to be proactive as far as having these plans ready, having them ready to go. That way, when we get the money, we're not waiting, you know, to get the plans done, get the schematics done. So we've had someone on board for about a year and a half already. We'll have those plans ready to go when funding becomes available, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Gonzalez?
No, percent.
I want to thank you very much. That was a very good presentation. This commission was looking for something like that, so that as we're making decisions on upcoming subdivisions and stuff, we have a good idea as to mobility for these new subdivisions.
Yes, sir, and I'll be happy to send that. I can send it to the planning department, they can share that with you all. I mean, all these information is posted on our Texas website, so this is all public record, so I'll send that all to you all so you can have a copy of it. So, Thank you, I appreciate it for the
Thank you very
opportunity.
much for your
Thank you.
presentation. All right.
And just to let you know, we still have weekly meetings with TxDOT to discuss new plats that come in so that they're involved in that, so that they know what's going on with some of the growth. So when you see plats that come to P and Z, we have had a meeting with TxDOT ahead of time, just to go over it. So Roberto is real good at going to the meetings and being involved.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item that we have on the agenda is consideration and approval of the minutes of a special meeting of July 28th, of a meeting of corrected minutes of the meeting of August the 4th, and the regular meeting of August the 18th. Can we have a motion for
I
approval?
move to approve.
We have a motion, we have a
Second.
second by Daniela. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. Thank you. Do we have anybody signed up for citizens' comments?
No, sir, we do not.
Thank you. The next item we have is public hearings and recommendations of an ordinance. The first ordinance that we have is amending the City of Laredo Land Development Code.
We would ask that this item be tabled, please.
All right, can we have a motion to table? Well, motion, second by Ana. Villarreal.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion tabled. All right. The next item is amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Laredo by rezoning Lot 7, Block 2031 Eastern Division located at 3220 Santa Barbara from R3 to B1.
We change it.
Este no es el que ya habíamos visto.
Sí.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have Dolores Hernandez, the owner. We have property location Lot 7, Block 2031, Eastern Division, located at 3220 Santa Barbara. We have a zone change request from an R3 to a B1. We have a proposed use as a restaurant. Letter sent is 35, none for, and none against. Location view.
Es que me pusieron que había cambiado en la dirección del 32.
Espéreme tantito.
Ok.
Deje que acabe la presentación y ahorita le llamo, ¿ok? Ándele.
Aerial view. Street view. Zoning map. Future land use map. And the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
Okay. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor? Ahora sí, señora. Su nombre para el archivo, por favor.
Dolores Hernández.
¿Ok?
Me nombré, me man-
Aquí está el micrófono
acá,
para que se ponga.
acá, está bien. Me dicen que cambiaron la dirección mía del restaurancito al 32,
18.
2031, ¿me entiendes? Yo hace mucho tiempo que lo tengo 3220 y me lo cambiaron, ¿me entiendes?
Se lo
Y
cambio.
ahora dicen que no, que el restaurante es, yo todo el tiempo lo he tenido ahí desde el 95. Antes tenía el restaurante La Terminal Café y lo cambié para allá, para 3220 Santa Bárbara.
O sea, usted está en 3220 Santa Bárbara, ya tiene mucho tiempo de estar ahí,
Sí,
¿verdad?
tengo muchos años con
No,
él.
la razón que está aquí es que la zona que tenía usted era una zona residencial.
Sí,
Y lo que están haciendo el cambio es para darle la autorización de que pueda poner su negocio ahí sin problema.
ok,
¿Ok?
sí.
De eso se trata esto. No, did you guys explain? No.
Yeah, we did.
Ok.
¿No tengo problemas o sí?
No, pues ahorita están recomendando que se apruebe, ¿verdad?
Sí,
Lo que el
Porque
Departamento de Planeación está aprobando, ¿verdad? De que se apruebe,
Sí.
que se quede su negocio allí.
sí,
¿ok?
pues ya tengo muchos años.
Sí, no, y eso es lo que, pero es nomás para poner en la zona que debe de estar su negocio para que no tenga problemas en el futuro.
Sí, porque me lo movieron y no, si me lo cambiaron y no supe. Pues vine y dijeron que ya se había muerto el señor, que me lo había cambiado.
No, ahorita ellos están recomendando que se apruebe, ¿ok?
Sí, es todo.
Es todo.
Muchas gracias, Dios que los bendiga.
Anybody else wish to speak for the zone change? For the zone change? Anybody wish to speak against the zone change? Against the zone change? What are the wishes of the commission?
Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Ah, tú.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing and support staff recommendation for the
Okay,
zone change.
we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Daniela. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those against, motion carries, thank you. Okay, ya está.
Ya está.
Next item that we have is amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by authorizing the issuance of a plan unit development for single-family townhomes on approximately 14.59 acres. And this is located,
Porción.
let me see where are we? Porción, out of porción 14.59 acres out of porción 33. You're out of the Jose Trevino Original Grantee, abstract number 3084, Webb County, Texas. Said 14.59 acres being out of tract 1 and 2 respectively conveyed in deeds to Mesquite Land Development Incorporated, as recorded in volume 5296, pages 137 to 144, Webb County Official Public Records, located south of Highway 359 and east of Concord Hills Boulevard from R1A to R1A PUD. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Public improvement.
For the record, applicant is Mesquite, right? Land Development Incorporated, it's the owner and the applicant. Edward D. Garza, PE is a representative. The property location is located south of State Highway 359 and east of Concord Hills Boulevard. The zone change request, it's going for a planned unit development for townhouses, PUD. The proposed use is for single-family townhouses. Letter sent 84 for 0 against 0. Location view,
Develop area.
aerial view, street view,
¿Dónde es esto?
zoning overview, Teacher land use. Staff recommendation, staff supports the proposed plan unit development and the proposed motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
¿Por qué acá iban a entrar?
This is a public hearing. Anybody wish to speak in favor?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Edward Garza with Train Engineering. We're here to speak on behalf of the proposed PUD request. Our plan is to develop and promote a more economic opportunity for housing in the Lago del Valle development by providing some single-family townhome. And the idea here is to develop some smaller homes, but that still are developed to resemble a larger size look of a single-family residence to coincide with the neighborhood that's already existing. Home prices have escalated dramatically in the area, and the goal of the developer here is to provide an option for more affordable housing. We're asking for a PUD on the entire acreage, but we're only planning to use 2 acres of the entire acreage for the housing unit. The rest of the land will still be maintained for a park as part of our master plan and stormwater management. And so we haven't started the replatting process. This property is already platted, and we will be coming to you later for the replat. But we wanted to pursue the PUD zoning ordinance first.
So basically, under the PUD, you're proposing that this particular development is because of the way you're gonna design it.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't meet the ordinance.
It doesn't meet the minimum on lot areas.
Right.
And so for that reason, we need to ask for a PUD overlay.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, if you look at the aerial, it looks deceiving. You see all the red, if you have it on? Where it says Brownwood, the bottom one, you could see the light color of the land. That's the 2 acres that they're working with.
¿Cuál?
Brownwood?
Yeah, let me see if we can get the picture up for you.
Where,
You want to
where
show?
it curves?
Ah, en la parte de acá
I see
arriba.
Brownwood, yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You're talking about the
The
south
bottom
part of that?
Acá.
That little light area,
¿Es acá?
that's the
over
area
here.
that they're gonna build on.
The bottom.
It's the bottom part of that?
Where's number 1 or where number 14?
Right.
Ah, number 5.
Right here.
This is where they're proposing
Right.
PUD. Right here on the townhouse.
Abajo.
Oh, along the street.
On the street.
Right, the street. That'll
The
be
rest
where
is
the
gonna
actual,
stay
that's
as
where the actual housing units will be.
Okay, so then this.
Is this actually inside the city limits?
Yes, sir.
It
It was
is?
annexed in the 90s.
Are you familiar with LUEs?
Yes, sir. I was part of the group
Do
that
you
actually
have
developed
any?
it. Yes, actually, all this area was developed prior to the LUE from the Colonia project. This land was not part of the Colonia planning and the development. Actually, all the utilities that were developed for this Lago del Valle was a component of a joint venture between 3 private landowners. And they participated in their own water and wastewater development. And all that was designed late 90s, early 2000s. And designed for all this land area that's being developed, including Lago del Valle, Campo Real, all this land that was originally owned by the EG Ranch, which was about 950 acres.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Garza? No? All right, what are the,
I move to approve.
okay, just a minute, this is a public hearing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garza. Does anybody else want to speak in favor of this R1A PUD? Anybody who wishes to speak against the R1A PUD? Okay. All right, wishes of the commission,
Move to approve the Valina.
Second, that advice?
and the second by Narvaez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. Thank you. The next item we have is review and consideration of the following master plans. Review and consideration of the Monteverde subdivision master plan. The intent is residential and commercial.
Mr. Chairman, just one other item, some housekeeping. If you were gonna excuse any of the commissioners, just keep that in mind before the meeting ends, that we have to do that. We haven't done it yet.
You want to do that? I move to excuse the commissioners.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, the motion carries. Thank you. All right,
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is Mesquite Land Development, engineer is Porras Nance Engineering, proposed use is residential and commercial. The zoning for this 217 lot development is R3 and a portion is B4. Location view, aerial view, street view, the proposed master plan, comments from planning, traffic safety, and the proposed motion.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Wayne Nance with Porter's Engineering. We agree with all the comments that staff has. We're
any
here for
questions for the engineer?
So you've already talked to TxDOT
Absolutely. We met with TxDOT a few weeks ago.
and they acquiesced to the entrance.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
the
that we all agreed. Yeah, we agreed. We talked with it.
Do you have LUEs?
I'm sure we do. We'll be talking about it more when we go through the one-stop shop.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you,
Nance.
Mr. Chairman.
What are the wishes of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to the comments.
We have a motion,
Second.
we have a second by Daniela. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. Next item, review and the revision of the Las Adelas subdivision master plan. The intent is residential and commercial. The purpose of this revision is to combine portions of phase 2 and phase 3.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is Garrett Ford Hopper, engineer is KCI Technologies, proposed use is residential and commercial. The zoning for this 474 lot development is B1, R1, and R1MH. Location view, aerial view, street view, the revision of the master plan, comments from planning, traffic safety, and the proposed motion.
Mr. Chairman, Jeff Puig, KCI Technologies, members of the commission. We agree with the comments and have no objections to that. So here to answer any questions if you might have.
Does anybody have any questions from the commission?
Are you crossing the road? Is there the access road still there?
The old frontage road, the intent in working with TxDOT is to remove that portion of the old frontage road along our frontage portion, and we will be looking at a right-in, right-out connection to 83.
Any other questions from the commission? Thank you very much. What are the wishes of the commission?
Move to approve, Dovalina.
Second.
Second by Daniela. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. Next item, consideration of the following preliminary plats and preliminary replats. Preliminary consideration of the plat of the Coves at Winfield, Phase 10A. The intent is residential.
Yes, sir. The applicant is Killam Development, engineer Mesquite Engineering. Proposed use residential. The zoning for this 4-lot development is R1. The location view. The aerial view.
¿Cómo está?
¿Cuál estás? ¿Cuál estás?
Proposed plat.
No sé.
Staff comments, planning, and traffic safety.
Which,
Parks and leisure.
Es este, ¿no? Sexy.
Proposed motion.
En 8A.
All right,
on there?
8A.
all right, yes, sir.
Good evening, Commission. Vince Martinez with Killam Development and Representative Mesquite Engineering. We concur with the comments minus the comments from traffic. All of the existing roads in this area were approved as part of Phase 1 and Phase 2 and have been installed. So we wish to strike out that comment.
So you're saying that you don't want to concur with the handbook which says it's speed limit of 30 miles per hour?
Well, they've already been installed and they've already been.
The road's done, is that what
roads
you're
are
saying?
done. Yes, the roads are done and installed and are already.
Okay, well, let me call our traffic engineer up, see why the comment's here.
And that's-
Good afternoon, Robert Peña, City Traffic. Yeah, I have to agree with, we can't argue that. This has been long, ongoing, and so,
The road's in, it's done.
yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So will it handle 30 miles an hour or not?
Yes, according to,
Huh?
it will handle it.
So why
It's already been approved.
do you object to the comment?
Well, we don't
No,
want.
no, he wasn't removed.
Yes, but if it handles 30 miles an hour, why do you want it removed?
Because we don't have to do any changes to any of the roads, any of the existing roads or anything if it comes up during the one-stop shop process or anything.
I guess you kind of contradict yourself. You're telling me that it does handle 30 miles an hour, and now you're saying you're gonna have to make a change because you're not sure it handles 30
Yeah,
miles
we
an hour?
don't want to have to make any changes if it comes up during a review process. They've already existed.
My point in asking you if it handles 30 miles an hour is so you don't have to make any changes and you don't have to take out the comment. But if you're not sure, and you may have to make some changes, then yes, I would assume you would object.
Well, it's been approved, so I'm sure it handles at 30 miles per hour.
Huh?
That it's been approved by the city and it's been accepted already. So I'm assuming that it already does meet the 30
The
miles.
city already accepted the street,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's already been accepted by the city, okay?
Pues entonces, ¿por qué dice que no sabe?
Okay, all right, let's move on. Thank you all very much.
Es por precavido.
Thank you all very much. Okay,
I think all.
Did you make a motion?
no, I haven't made a motion. All right, what do you all want to do with this item? I mean, he's asking, the engineer's asking for the traffic comment to be removed, the traffic engineer, the street's already built, so like it's redundant, really, the comment is redundant. So can we have a motion to that, either way, whatever you guys want to do?
I move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion from Novalina,
Subject to
a
the
second,
change.
subject to the change of the comment of traffic safety. Motion by Anna, Real. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those against, motion carries. Next item is preliminary consideration of the plat of the Coves at Winfield Phase 4A. The intent is residential.
Yes, sir. Applicant, same, Killam Development, engineer, Mesquite Engineering. Proposed use residential. The zoning for this 6-lot development is R1. Location view. Aerial view. A street view. Proposed plat. Staff comments, planning, traffic safety, parks, leisure. Proposed motion.
Ya cambien la chapa.
Good evening. Ms. Martinez for the record again.
Same comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, same comment
Same comment?
from all of the ones that
For
are,
all of the ones that are coming up,
for all the ones.
everything else you're in agreement with?
Yes.
Okay.
Pues
All right,
que,
what are the wishes of the commission?
oye, pues es 8B, 8C, 8D, 8E, 8F, 8G, 8A, 8, hasta ahí, 8G.
Todo traffic.
From B to
So-
8G.
You want to make a motion to approve or disapprove? What do you want?
¿Nomás uno o todo?
Well, we need to take them there.
Yeah, you need.
Individual?
We can take them individually because it might be,
Okay.
comments make it
Okay, okay.
different, okay?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve, a second by Anna. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item is preliminary consideration of the plat of the Coves at Winfield Phase 5A. The intent is residential.
The same, Killam, engineering, Mesquite Engineering, proposed use residential. The zoning for this 8-lot development is R1. Location view, aerial view, street view, proposed plat, staff comments, planning, traffic safety, parks and leisure,
Pero este es otro.
proposed motion.
All right, so
This one has two comments from
comments.
traffic safety.
El de 30 y el de check site
We
distance.
call Robert up
Aquí
from
quédate.
traffic.
Vas a ser chamorro.
Robert Peña, Traffic Safety.
It's got two comments on there, so is it a mood issue also?
Yeah, I believe one's visibility and the other's the speed on these roadways
Yeah.
that are already existing.
But it's an
So
existing
they don't-
road,
They don't
so,
apply. It's the same comment for all of these
okay,
phases.
okay. All right, thank you. All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
I move to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Daniela, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries, thank you. All right, next item is preliminary consideration of the plat of the codes in Winfield, page 6A.
Yes, sir. Applicant, Killam Development, engineer, Mesquite Engineering, proposed use residential. The zoning for the 7-lot development is R1. Location view, aerial view, proposed plat, staff comments, planning, traffic safety, parks and leisure, proposed motion.
Okay,
Move to approve subject to the deletion of traffic comment.
okay, motion.
Molina.
Nobody?
Second.
Second by Daniela. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. The next item is preliminary consideration of the plat of the coves at Winfield Phase 6B. The intent is residential.
Yes, sir. The applicant is Killam Development, engineering, Mesquite Engineering, proposed use residential. The zoning for this 10-lot development is R1. Location view, aerial view, street view, proposed plat, staff comments, planning, traffic safety, parks and leisure, proposed motion.
Okay.
Son los dos.
What are the wishes of the commission?
Motion to approve, ¿cómo se dice? Deleting.
And
Okay.
delete.
And delete, subject to, to change traffic comments 1 and 2.
All right.
I'll second it.
Second by Ana. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. Next item, preliminary consideration of the plat of the coves at Winfield Phase 6B. The intent is residential.
Te toca.
I'm sorry, did we just do that? 7A.
7A.
7A, I'm sorry.
Vamos a
Yeah.
Yes, sir. The applicant is Killam Development, engineer, Mesquite Engineering, proposed use residential. Zoning for this 8-lot development is R1.
Pícale aquí.
Location view,
Puntitos de acá arriba.
aerial view, street view, the proposed plat, staff comments, planning, traffic safety, parks and leisure, proposed motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve removing traffic safety comments 1 and 2.
second.
We have a motion, we have a second by the Molina.
Molina.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. Next item is preliminary consideration of the plat of the coves at Winfield Phase 7B. The intent is residential.
Yes, sir. The applicant is Killam Development, engineer, Mesquite Engineering, proposed use residential. The zoning for this 6-lot development is R1. Location view, aerial view, street view, proposed plat, staff comments, planning, traffic safety, parks and leisure, and the proposed motion.
Motion to approve subject to deleting the comments
one
of
and two.
traffic. Nobody.
Motion, we have a second.
Second.
By Ana, no, by Daniela, I'm sorry. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those against, the motion carries. Next item is preliminary consideration of the replat of lots 4, 5, and 6, block 1801 Eastern Division into lot 6A, block 1801 Eastern Division. The intent is residential.
Yes, sir. The applicant is Maria G. Treviño and Hugo Gilberto Garcia Guerra, engineer, Ricardo Ramos, Proposed use residential. The zoning for this one lot development is B1. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Proposed plat. Staff comments planning. Proposed motion.
All right. Yes, sir.
Did he put this on just because he wanted to look like that?
Good evening, my name is Ricardo Ramos, and we agree with staff comments.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for the engineer?
Do you know what's gonna go there?
It's an apartment complex, and the reason that we're trying to replat it is because the sewer line is in one lot, and the water line is in the other lot. So the apartment is on that corner lot, and they need to service the sewer in one lot. So they have to make all three of them one lot. If that makes sense.
No.
So you have three lots, right?
Yeah.
And the apartments are built on one lot.
Right?
So that lot services the water, but they got the sewer from the adjacent lot. And they connected it to the apartments. So now you have the sewer from the next door neighbor feeding this lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. There was a Y there.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, okay. All right. Any other questions for the engineer? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
What are the wishes of the commission?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Anna.
Second.
Approve, and a second by Daniela. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. The next item is the consideration of the final plats and final replats. We have 9A, we have 9B, 9C, and then we have, 9A, 9B, and 9C. So can we have a motion to take them all together?
Motion to hear items 9A, 9B, and 9C together.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Daniela. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Motion to approve items 9A, 9B, and 9C.
A motion and a second by Daniela. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. All right, the next item we have is discussion possible action on regarding the 23 to 27 capital improvements plan.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to welcome Assistant City Manager Riazul Mia, who will be presenting the 2023 to 2027 capital improvement plan.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Riazul Mia with the City Manager's Office. Just give me a second, let me hook up this presentation.
Pasen el chiste. Pasa el chiste.
¿Eh?
Que pasen el chiste. Sí, sí, claro, claro. Sí lo vi.
Mr. Chairman, this is the city's 2023 to 2027 capital improvement program. The numbers are, as you can see, it's a $1.8 billion capital improvement. But what I did, I break it down to just the infrastructure is $1.5 billion. That includes your roads, your water, your wastewater, your airport. So you have of course, streets are 90% funded by the tech stock. And that's include what you just saw, the tech stock presentation. And so that's included in the capital improvement program. Your water and sewer is about $600 million. We just sold yesterday We just sold about $125 million for first phase of the improvement for water and wastewater. And the airport, we do have some grants coming in. I think tomorrow, Congressman Cuellar is announcing another grant for terminal expansion. And so those are included in your plan. This is the breakdown of by the department, as I say, street, water, airport, wastewater. In 2023, this is about $933 million. Of course, majority of what TechStart just present is the TechStart projects. And we have the second one is the water and wastewater. As I say, this is the CIP by our department, this excluding TechStart. And so, as you can see, the water, wastewater, and of course, transit, we building the transit facility finally at Jackman and Bartlett. And so that is one of the big projects we're doing. It is a plan, it's not fully funded, but these are possible funding, the bonds, grants, developer fees, cash, capital improvement fund, system revenue, and lot of them, mostly city projects are unfunded except water, sewer, your airport, your solid waste. Those are enterprise funds, so those are funded through either their revenue or the bond. We did present council. This year we are looking at about $31 million bond sale. So, of course, we are proposing $250,000. This is not their priority fund. We're putting as a CIP, so the council will come up with one or two projects on their district. And so we'll spend that one. That's about $2 million. We are proposing about $1 million. These are the traffic signal upgrades. I mean, unfortunately, all our signals you can't get those equipment anymore. It's so old. And same thing, the IT improvement, the parks improvement, and that include, we are putting about $1 million worth of camera because of the security issue that everybody is looking for cameras.
Because of what?
Security issue.
New street, we are funding 2 new street, which is finishing the Springfield extension. City just received a $1.5 million EDA grant. So we're putting extra money to finish that. That will be from International to Shiloh. And also the other project we are funding is Concord Hill extension, which will be extended all the way to the sports complex where the new road is now. And that is a partnership between Webb County Drainage District and the land developer and RMA and the city. So we're putting our share, about $3.8 million. Of course, police is always a big need. Police annex building, police vehicle. Every year we buy about $3.8 to $4 million police vehicle. So that's a constant thing. And the fire, most of our fire engines are bought about 10 years ago. So now everything needs to be replaced. So this year we are funding at least 2 of them because each of them is about $1 million engine. Public Works, they can't do anything without equipment, so we're funding about $1.5 million. And general government, we have this federal courthouse. We are doing some design to use the courthouse, at least the second floor, but the HVAC is 50-year-old, so we're gonna replace the HVAC system. And the Bruni Plaza also. As you know, the Bruni Plaza is vacant, but we are putting in IT, and the 311 will be going there. We're gonna do some remodeling inside, and so they will be housed there, and then the library will be open again.
What's the plan for the federal courthouse?
Federal courthouse, at this moment, the second floor, we're looking at office space. Maybe the economic development, we need a lot of office space for the city building. So since this building is sitting there, so that's we are looking at. There is no plan yet on 3rd floor.
Okay.
Because that is the courthouse. There was some talk about maybe city council chamber do that. But the parking is an issue over there.
Yeah, yeah.
But at this moment, at least we're looking at occupying the 2nd floor. And of course, animal control, that's another one. We are expanding the surgical center. The current center is so small, it cannot do a lot of surgeries. And so that is funded. As I say, we have a lot of need. The department requested about $61 million worth of equipment. We are able to only fund 7.5. Because as you know, because of the law, we cannot go more than 3.5%. And so that's why the tax rate went down. And so that also hurts to sell the bond. And that's pretty much my presentation, and I'll be answering any question.
Anybody in the commission have any questions for Mr. Lee?
I had some concerns, I obviously shared them with you earlier, but I have some concerns where this is a capital improvement plan that projects the city projects. It doesn't project other agency projects. It doesn't project TxDOT. You have no way of knowing if FAA is gonna give you money for the airport, yet you project in the capital improvement plan a number. Unless you have the money in hand, I don't see how you could project that figure. And I know that transit is not a department of the city, yet you also include different items related to transit as part of what you're doing. It's gonna happen in the city, but because they were unionized, when transit was originally established, there was always an arm's length agreement with the city. That's why the city councilmen aren't on the board of transit. And so it surprises me that you've done that. And I noticed also, I don't know if it's a mistake, but I noticed that you had several utility expansions on Loop 20, and they seem to be concurrent in several years, the same items. So I don't know if you're doing them in phases, or in fact you don't have enough money to do them in the year. Like you have airport to Clark, utility expansion 26, 27, 28. Is it the same thing? Or are you doing a different line every year, or what is it that you're doing?
Mr. Chairman, I will answer on the loop. That the relocation of water and wastewater as current loop, most of the water and sewer system is within the existing right-of-way. Since loop gonna be interstate, we have to relocate those water and sewer line. And so what we're doing, we basically hired the same consultant TxDOT has, so we're working with them, which of the projects coming in first, because that's the one we have to relocate our line first before TxDOT coming in. That's why you see in phases.
So are they gonna reimburse you for the relocation?
Most of them, yes. The issue was some of them are on their right-of-way, but with some kind of permit. Those are reimbursable. Some of them we went in without having any kind of instrument. And so if we don't have any kind of document, they don't reimburse us.
I hope it wasn't on my watch.
But last time we did the Clark, yes, we get like 80% reimbursement on the Clark overpass. So this one we're expecting pretty much 80% probably get reimbursed.
The other concern that I had is with all the utilities listed in the capital plans, I noticed that some developers, particularly along Highway 359, that have come in, they'll come in with what I call a two-pronged development, part of it in town and part of it out of town. And I asked one of the engineers if he had LUEs, and he didn't have it, yet we approved it. And so if these developments continue to come in, you're never gonna get the developer to pay for the water line that it needs for the development.
To answer your question, the LUE on 359, those Colonias project, when those projects came in, there was some landowner, they did oversize, and city also oversized the line, so city had about 1,000 LUE. we are very close to exhaust all those LUE. So that means once we exhaust them, the developer has to build those transmission line, those
So
distribution line.
who gives the signal?
It's the utilities, because as I say, we are pretty much about to be done with what is the existing LUE we have.
Because we keep approving them, we don't know if you're at capacity or not.
I mean, those are all addressed during the planning process. That's why some of these developers are hold up, because they have to coming in. As you say, we have an 18-inch line that goes to Colonias.
I thought
As
it
you know,
was-
we have 5 of the water boil notices because we don't have enough water use on that area.
Is that when Pablo Martinez was here? Is it a 16, it's a 16-inch line,
16
not
inch,
an
yeah,
18?
sorry. So those are the issues that I think city did a great job expecting that there will be a lot of growth, but it didn't happen.
Yep.
And now we are in 30-year now, and we flush almost a million and a half gallon on that area. If not, if we don't flush for 5 or 7 days, we go in a boil water notice. This is how bad it is.
Our boil water notice is not all it's cracked up to be.
I know, sir.
I've been through that.
But those are the things we face. Is there any other question I can answer? Oh, on transit. Transit, it is, as you know, it's a transit sales tax. So we do have management company, they work for the city.
And the reason you have the management company is because even though you own transit, you don't manage it because you have to have an arm's length agreement under the state law and FAA.
Yes, sir. But every single dime we get from the grants, it is City of Laredo. We are the one who are applying for this grant.
You have the fiduciary responsibility for it, but you don't have the management of it.
No, we don't.
Okay.
But all the capital improvement we control.
The council does.
Council, yes. I mean, we are the council. That means I don't have any authority as the city council.
I have a question. How does the $250,000 per district amount came to be? Like, what determined that amount?
That's last year, we put $500,000 based on the CIP, but this year, because of what I say, we could not sell more bonds, so we had to reduce it. I mean, of course, council won $1 million on each district for their own projects, but we could not afford it.
Okay. And do you all get a list of those projects?
Yes,
Is there
yeah,
a
it has to be
requirement?
brick and mortar project. It has to be a construction project. Because
I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
Under CDBG entitlement, you have all the districts in the city except District 6. Right. How do you make up to the residents of District 6 the fact that you don't give them any money?
That's a good question, sir. I live in District 6.
I live in District 6, so that's why I'm asking the question.
As you know, the CDBG
I can
money
answer that.
I know the answer.
is the,
Say it.
back to the council, they just don't want to give additional money to District 6. Everybody's saying.
I guess we ought to get rid of the districts. And make
If you
them-
look
and
at
make
it
them
this
all at
year,
large.
we are able to convince them to fund two street projects, one in North Laredo, which is Springfield, one in South Laredo, which is Concord Hill. So they all agree. So at least we are able to do these
Compromising.
two projects, which is much needed. I believe once we open the sports complex, we don't have Concord Hill and this overpass. I mean, you can't get out from the sports complex.
You can't get out from Concord Hills either. Now.
Yeah, because you don't have any exit, but with the Los Presidentes extension and with this extension, you will have 3 exits instead of having 1. Okay, thank you,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
thank you very much for your presentation, it was very good. Next item we have is presentation by staff regarding implementation of the 1B zoning district.
Yes, sir. You had some questions, or the commission had some questions at the last meeting about R1B. So we asked engineering to come to answer any engineering questions you might have to some of the problems that we have with R1B. So with us, we have Fabio Rodriguez with us, who's representing the engineering department.
Good evening. My name is Fabio Rodriguez. I work for the engineering department for the city of Laredo. I believe the questions that I was told that you might have, it's regarding the size for the local collectors and the size for the local streets, if I'm not mistaken. And the problem that it's surfacing right now is that emergency vehicles might not have enough space to drive through the area, if I'm not mistaken. Now, we prepared a small little exhibit. I don't know how to show it. Oh, so generally speaking, we have a 50 feet right of way and we have a 31 back-to-back. Now, pavement section and talking about like the curb and gutter, we have another like 3 more feet with the length of the gutter. So that having shown, that's something that it's stipulated on the ordinance. That's something that we as the city, we cannot change, or the engineering department cannot change what it's in the ordinance. Now, I was told that, and a recommendation was that maybe changing everything to, not necessarily changing everything, but
Amending it.
amending it to put everything to 60 right away and 41 back to back. Now, if that was the case, again, one of the things will be having to go through the city ordinance and amend that, change it. However, one of the things that or that we see in the engineering department is that if you were to change this right here, it could cause a chain of effects. For example, extra runoff in the sewer that maybe it's not accounted for, but now we have to account for, which is going to translate into more storm sewer, which at the end of the day, developers are going to have to make larger ponds, larger storm drainage, and it's going to be extra cost, which at the end of the day could go into the residents that might buy homes in those areas. Also, another thing that we might see, it's all during the design phase of the subdivisions, could be that site distance problems could arise. Another thing could be, lowering the square feet of the lots, because at the end of the day, you're sacrificing extra right-of-way for the emergency vehicles. We understand that it's emergency vehicles, right? But at the end of the day, you're also sacrificing the sorry for that. The cost of the residents that could actually buy a house in that area. Now, what else can we do, I guess, for the city of Laredo if we have the situation where emergency vehicles do not fit? And by the way, on the general width of a fire truck, it's about 8 feet and 4 inches. However, it does require sometimes to have, if I'm not mistaken, Chief can actually also say something if I'm wrong. But it says that we need usually 20 feet of unobstructed access road for emergency vehicles. So one of the things that maybe we can look into is enforcing residents not to park on areas where maybe high emergency situations happen in that area, or just the matter of fact, making the residents reduce the amount of vehicles parked on the street, which I understand it will be difficult, but those are some things that we see right now. Of course, there's more into this, aside from the things that I just mentioned, and this is just a brief description of what's going on.
I think part of the problem is that people have complained about the number of vehicles that are on a 31 back-to-back, and each car is at least 10 feet wide. So you have both cars parked on either curb. So you only have 10 feet left for them to travel up and down. And they currently have a great deal of congestion as they go forward. And what they want is to have 2 lanes so that they can move their cars. Because I think it's inconceivable in this day and age where each person, if it's a couple, each person that lives in a house works. So they have to have a car. So they don't have enough parking to park both cars in a driveway unless you make the whole front of the house a driveway. And so consequently, they have to park a car on the street. And the same thing goes for the other neighbor. So then you have a problem with them being able to circulate.
Yeah, and we understand that we can look into other options of how to try to resolve the situation. Again, one of the things is that changing the ordinance, but I know it's gonna be something that it will be a big hurdle to do, plus all the reasons that I've just provided. Regarding the zoning, that will be something else that maybe Mr. Navarro could speak about. Another thing that I mentioned is just enforcing the fact that I understand that what you mentioned nowadays, both the wife and the husband has to work due to economic situation in the United States now. So yeah, some couples have more than 2 cars, maybe 3, and they park on the streets. It's a complex situation that in order for us to solve, we need to look into more options. And having a solution as in for right now, I think will be just enforcing. But if we want something on the long run, we need to look into more options.
Or maybe looking at creating a parking space for cars at the end of the block so that they don't park there, or you've got to do something because you're asking the families, whatever the families are, to make a lifelong commitment to buying a house. They're putting in a lot of bucks in there, and people aren't wealthy. So once they buy it and they come with a problem, then they've got a problem for the rest of their lives, unless they sell the house. So I think it behooves us to look into creating some sort of solution to try to help them out as we continue to move forward.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. We'll continue to keep looking at this and try to come up with some ideas.
¿Qué falta?
That was it.
No, Erasmo.
We're waiting for Erasmo. He
We're-
broke quorum, but
We're in recess. We're in recess.
That was the last time.
That's the last time. Listo.
Okay, I have a question on the R1Bs, which is,
Ya se fue.
no, but it's really for planning.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's not for engineering, it's for planning. If I remember correctly, the ordinance requires 3 parking spaces within the R1B, right? So even with the 3 parking spaces, what he was describing is that we're still having issues on the street. They're not going into the actual parking spaces that are supposed to, that they're intended to be used. I mean, that was why we added that additional parking space, because we knew that on a reduced standard, it was gonna create these kind of issues. It's a very hard thing to enforce, and you're absolutely correct. And the engineer is correct. Obviously, to try to go back and amend the ordinance, the idea of the ordinance was to try to create affordable housing. To try to go back and obviously do 36 back to back or something is an issue. That's all cost. It goes back into affordable housing. But again, it was something that the commission wanted to visit, and I think that's been done, and we might continue discussion from the commission level on potentially, how do we create affordable housing and at the same time, not get super congested where we do run into situations for emergency vehicles. I mean, that's the issue. Okay.
No se puede hacer un plan específico para ese, ¿no? O sea, yo sé que llevan algo estándar para todo lo demás, pero como esto es en algo específico, igual y llegar a que se pueda hacer algo específicamente para esta zona, no sé.
It's all about cost. It's all about cost.
Tienes problemas con la circulación de los
De lo demás.
porque no reconocieron el tiempo cuando se hizo la ordenanza que cada familia tiene 2 o 3 carros.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
Como
Motion, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. I want to thank you all very much. Very good.
no